Hello. Have you got everything you need? My mum used to call out when I was off to school each day. There was usually something I'd forgotten. One thing I could never forget was my cello, and I think I'd have noticed that if I'd walked out of the house without it. I had to lug it to school every day, not just for a lesson, but for assembly. Our school orchestra played before assembly, when the classes trooped in, a hymn, a sung version of the Lord's Prayer, and a recessional. I still have my little manuscript book in which I'd written all the cello parts of the hymns. Then there were rehearsals, of course. And my cello lesson was at the girls' grammar school after school on Thursdays, so that was another long haul with the cello and a heavy satchel, because I went to the co-ed grammar school and the instrumental lessons were centralised in the girls' school. Anyway, everything I needed sometimes felt as if it was the kitchen sink as well. I haven't always had everything I needed. I've been in that horrible situation where I had to choose between one thing or another, as I couldn't afford both. There were no credit cards in those days. Do you remember the hire purchase system? My goodness, the hoops you had to jump through before you were accepted for a loan. I went down that route once only, as I desperately needed a washing machine. I couldn't wait for the last payment to be paid. Things improved a bit after that, thank goodness. I bought a lovely set of plates and a jug for using in the garden this week. The only thing is, I have nowhere to put it. I looked in the cupboards in the kitchen and decided I really must get rid of some plates and dishes, etc., that we never use anymore. And I'm not really a hoarder, but I always think that there might be a time to use a use for something and a time to use it. When I was younger, I made clothes for my family and myself, often out of material given to me or by adapting something from a charity shop. I've recently been quite ruthless and got rid of a pile of clothes to make way for some new things. And that set me thinking. I didn't really need something new. It wasn't because my existing clothes were falling apart. It was because I wanted a change. My desire for something new had turned into need. Although I'm in a better position now financially, thank goodness, or at least able to live within my means, I still remember the lean days and making do. Learning to wait until I'd saved up for a new pair of shoes, choosing the cheapest cuts of meat, walking instead of getting the bus, all the things we did when we were younger. I might have moaned a bit if Mum said she couldn't afford something, but there was no choice but to accept the situation, and I really don't remember being pressured by my peers to have something just because everybody else had one. It's a shame that we've become so materialistic. I think we were so much happier then because it was exciting waiting for that special thing we were saving for. So, do I really need to buy this? That's something I'm going to try to ask myself in future. Is it desire or need? In 1 Peter chapter 1 we can read, "His divine power has given us everything we need for a godly life through our knowledge of him who called us by his own glory and goodness." And in Philippians chapter 4, Paul tells us that God will supply our needs, but he never promised to meet all our wants. The truth is, even getting our wants will not necessarily make us happy. So, dear Father in heaven, may we be more aware that what we want or desire is not necessarily a need, and to consider the needs of others who really do require our help to obtain even the most basic needs. Amen.